Now, let's take a look at this Tekken 8 footage. So we missed
Katsuhiro Harada
Here we
and
go.
Tekken producer Michael Murray. How are you all doing? Thank you all so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, we have some very specific questions that I'm pretty sure all the fans are excited to hear the answers to. So I'm going to start with my first one here. You've been demoing Tekken 8 to both press and fighting fans, and I wonder what kind of feedback have you been getting about the game, and has that feedback led to any substantial gameplay changes?
So we've been demoing the game, like you said, and actually the response was overwhelmingly positive, almost scarily so. We're comparing this to back in the day when we used to do location tests in the arcades, and players would have this notebook that they could use to write comments about the game and feedback. And
so like
times,
this is the first
very,
Asuka extended gameplay we've seen as well,
the
right?
Who were there were the hardest core of the players in Tekken. So compared to that, yeah, surprisingly good. But there were a few things we noticed.
No, look, so you can see the heat energy type. You can see the heat energy is gone.
But
the heat energy was the little 8 symbols that they had. That's gone, and now the heat bar just governs your entire heat. But it's basically the same. It's basically the same shit, though.
Verbal feedback that they gave, but
it's basically the same shit.
We noticed that one of the new mechanics this time around, the heat system, was something.
No, the chain's still there. You can see the chain. Look, the chain's still there on Asuka. Then it breaks when she does heat.
That they weren't fully grasping.
I don't know why they got rid of it
quickly as we liked.
Well, Michael Murray is saying it now. It's like people seem to not understand. Like it was hard to grasp, because here's the thing: when they said heat energy was gone, people thought that the entire system was gone. Like, oh my god, they're not doing heat anymore. Then people thought heat energy was the blue aura. They're like, oh, they've got rid of the blue aura. So I guess people just found that a bit confusing.
We thought we wanted to do something,
even though I think it was very clearly explained quite a bit. I think some people just didn't pay attention.
Kind of adjust the learning curve there to make it so that they could pick it up much quicker. So there is that. We made some changes to that because of the feedback.
Speaking of which, what specific changes have you made regarding the heat system?
So about the heat system, in case you're not familiar with
this is the first Leroy gameplay as well, by the way.
The main theme of the game this time around is to aggressive fighting style of the players. So to kind of emphasize that, we added this new heat state.
Look at the damage that throw did, chat. Look at Leroy's health bar. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it.
State.
Like he can recover this health here, but oh my god.
Two methods that you can use to.
That's a new throw as well.
And you can choose to do so.
Like he got the health back
into it using the heat burst, where you just push a button and instantly you're in the state.
That's his heat smash.
There's certain moves for each character.
That's the unbreakable one, yeah.
You hit your opponent with them, it allows you to enter the state as well. Obviously, there's more advantage to hitting your opponent with the heat engager, is what the move's called.
So look, here's the thing as well. So if you remember, you had when you did a heat burst, King just did his heat burst. When you did a heat burst, you got 1 heat energy, and you could use that on a heat dash, a heat smash, or whatever. So here you see King does a heat dash, which he uses heat engager,
because you get,
and then the heat's gone. The heat's gone. So it's basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. Black Thanks for it. It's basically the same thing as having 1 heat energy, as you know what I mean.
More time in the heat state that way. But previously, if you notice on the bottom, the health gauge, where the heat energy is,
that's a new string, by the way.
Kind of like these chains representing almost these stocks, and so depending on if you had 1 or 2,
no, it's literally exactly the same. It's just easier to read.
It wasn't necessarily that straightforward to the players, so we wanted to streamline it. So we got rid of the heat energy in the meaning of the stocks and just has the gauge. So
that new like
in the meaning of the stocks.
That new flip on forward 1 is ridiculous as well, by the way. Look at that Oki. Was that a counter hit?
The heat energy in the meaning of the stocks and just has the gauge.
That could have been counter hit. It's hard to tell. There's no sound as well. And
you can also tell right away what you're able to do. And when you're in the heat state, there's also this kind of very cinematic.
So chat, you see that there? When you that happens when you get a counter hit throw now. Throws beat parries. And then that throw, because of the camera switch there, that's how you know it was a counter hit throw, and he couldn't break that throw. That was unbreakable.
Each character called the heat
because it
smash.
caught the parry.
And so it used to be that the command for this technique was different for each character, but we've also made that just one button to kind of simplify it across the roster. So those are some of the major changes we made as a result.
You mentioned
That was
aggressive
ridiculous.
players. So do you think Tekken 8 kind of caters more to aggressive players or defensive players, given the gaming mechanics?
That's an interesting question.
Bro, I'm trying to see horror gameplay.
So we first need to kind of start off on the kind of basis
Look, Brian.
of the philosophy.
Hatchet kick
there.
still exists.
Many people might not think this way, but if you look at fighting games, they're different when you think of defense and offense than other versus online games. So in other games, when you
Bro,
attack
that
your
heat
opponent,
engage is
most
too
of the time
sick, man.
damage is done if they're in the space when you're attacking. But for fighting games, you can block attacks.
That's his
right?
heat
So
smash. Heat
that can
smashes
totally
really don't do
negate
that much
the
damage, you know.
damage of the attack.
I don't think
which
there's
is,
really a
already
reason
makes
to
it
do
kind
heat
of skewed
smashes.
to defensive capabilities in that result. And when you're thinking of not just fighting games in general, but Tekken is a 3D fighting game. So in addition to blocking, you can also do sidestepping to evade your opponent's attacks, making it even more skewed towards defensive capabilities. So this new mechanic and the aggressive that we're talking about means that we just wanted to add a certain time that it's limited.
This new rage
obviously,
art is too sick.
in which a player can more easily open up their opponent and enjoy going on the fence, and to actually motivate players to be more offensive rather than turtling up or running away, because it's actually quite fun when you actually go on the fence and try it out.
Wait, they did the same move then,
It's
no?
quite fun when you actually.
They both did forward too, so it looks like Asuka's heat burst is plus on block from the looks of things. Because in general, I didn't think they all looked heat plus on block, but I don't know now.
And try it out.
I don't
It's
know.
a lot more fun for spectators.
I can't remember
who are
as well
watching the game as well. So those
when I
were,
played what happened.
not
Oh wait,
just-
that's
and
new.
It's a lot more fun for spectators who are watching the game as well.
Look at that. She hit the floor, and then the wall spat there. Did you see that? That doesn't happen.
Fence and try it out, and it's a lot more fun.
That
for
doesn't happen now. That's
spectators who are
new.
Watching the game
That's new.
as well. So those were not just the players themselves, but people watching the game via live streams or esports or whatever is something we had to take into account as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely always on the defense, so I'm gonna have to not turtle up, as you say, and run away. Now, historically, let's talk about like the cabinets that that Tekken usually comes out with. Like Tekken has been a game where they've been released on arcade cabinets with the console version coming out later. Things are a little bit different right now. So can you describe why the change with Tekken 8?
いくつかポイントありましたね。もともとやっぱりおっしゃったように一番大きい。
Well, there's actually a variety of reasons for the change. It is a major change in the history, as you mentioned. This is the first time we're actually starting off with console. And there were several
Forward
reasons
to
why we're
heat
doing this.
engage.
One of the major ones, obviously, is just the state of the arcades worldwide. Previously, they were everywhere in the U.S., in Europe, Asia, etc.
Taunt heat smash.
And then
Oh my
they
god.
started declining, right? But the speed of the decline in the West, the U.S. and Europe, was much, much faster than that of Asia.
Oh, down forward 2 still
probably around
crushes,
Tekken
man.
5, which was like 2005 or so, was when we started to see a noticeable difference there. And what happens as a result is when you started to not see arcades anymore in the West, but only in Asia, when we were doing an arcade-only release first and then jumped to console, that meant that the players in the West were having to wait for 2 years to get their hands on the game. So the start line for people in Asia and those outside of Asia was different, which wasn't a great thing for many reasons. And then another is just a simple internal matter that since then our company is
Okay, so
changed
Tekken's still
the
janky as
organization
hell
so that
because
the
he did
arcade
heat
guys
burst
are,
and then swap sides.
actually a separate company from the console division, which Harada and I are in. So many
hell was
kind of
that?
elements went into that decision, but the first two are probably the biggest ones.
So that means that it's ending with Tekken 7, which is the final arcade cabinet, right?
At least for the arcade first release.
Yes. Well, fortunately, here in the IGN office, we have a Tekken 7 cabinet.
Yeah.
I saw it.
And I have this if Harada-san can do us the pleasures of signing it after our interview.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent.
Yes. Awesome. All right, now my final question. Now the next closed network tests for Tekken start July 21st and again on the week of the 28th. Can fans expect to experience, what can they expect to experience, like regarding like stages, characters, competitive gameplay, etc.? What can we expect?
キャラクターは16体だったね。
Orion will be the only
So
playable
we
character.
actually had the closed alpha test at several events. I think Combo Breaker was the one in a big tournament.
3+4 doesn't knock down
Closed alpha
anymore.
Test at,
3+4 doesn't knock down anymore.
Combo Breaker
Oh my god, what a nerf. Thank
was the
God.
one in a big tournament in the US. We had some in Europe and Asia as well, where limited people who were actually participating in the tournament that day could, for Tekken 7, could check out the game. So this is the first time
That
we're
one
actually
plus two
opening
heat
up to
engage.
a broader audience. And so for the closed network test, we have 2 different dates, as you mentioned. The first one will be on the PS5 only. And we'll have 16 characters available, which is a decent size. And that's just for this time. You know, obviously, when we release the game, it's going to have a lot more characters than that. But just for the
One thing, you can't see it because the life bar's in the way. The scroll bar's in the way. At the bottom right, it says RB and LB to save a battle replay, and I like that because sometimes I would save a battle replay by accident because I just press R1, because like I have a move that's R1, so I like that.
test. There'll also be about 5 stages, and you'll be able to play all the new mechanics we're talking about, and the changes we made to the heat system as well will be reflected in that build. Not only that, the second date you mentioned is when we're going to be opening it up to crossplay between PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. So that'll be something the first time that people actually get
Damage on
X,
King's
S,
Heat
and
Smash.
PC. So that'll be something the PlayStation
Oh
5,
my god.
Xbox Series X, S, and PC. So that'll be something the first time that people.
And none
actually
of
get
that health is
a chance to
recoverable.
Check out not just the network play, but
None
also
of
play
that
as
health
well.
was
So we're looking forward to
recoverable.
that.
I think we're all looking forward to it. This is really exciting. Harada-san, Michael, I want to thank you both so much. We're going to go to our Tekken 7 cabinet machine, and maybe I'm going to get you to sign it, and I'm going to show you some of my defensive techniques if you're open to it. You're probably going to school me on it anyways, but yes, fighting fans can look forward to Tekken 8 and follow IGN's coverage as we get closer to the release. IGN Summer of Gaming continues.
Oh, chat. Less than just over a month the closed network test starts, so